That's not discernment. It's a counterfeit. And when you're involved in the Babylonian system, you are into witchcraft. We've known for years, since we weren't in deliverance very long until we knew that the whole Roman Catholic system was run by black witchcraft. Then I got to where I'd say it openly. People would look at me, now, Brother Worley, you're not being very loving. It's hard to love a porcupine. I mean, there's no place you can put your hand you don't get stuck. And when it comes to witchcraft, there's no way to do it except say it's abomination, it's ungodly, it's wicked. Everything about the Roman Catholic system is rotten. There is nothing to save. Martin Luther tried to save it. It wouldn't work. There's nothing to save. Everything in it is a farce and a counterfeit and lifted. The rosary comes from Buddhism. The candles come out of heathenism. Most of their rituals and everything else come directly out of paganism according to official Roman Catholic sources. And we need to realize this and understand we're dealing with a bald-faced contender who would push the body of Christ in the corner and murder, mutilate, torture, and eliminate every true believer on the face of God's earth. Some months ago I was in a motel room and I happened to flip on the TV late at night. One of my men was with me. I said, let's see if we can pick up the late news. We hadn't seen it, and I saw the Blue Army film. Have you ever seen that thing? The Blue Army of Fatima. I could not believe it for the next hour. There were two priests, two laymen and a woman, and they were glowing with reports of how the Blue Army of Fatima was growing worldwide. I couldn't believe it, and they flashed pictures on the screen from India, and they had taken the Blessed Virgin over. They were carrying her, as you've seen them in the processional, and they were over in Hindu land attracting crowds of 50,000 people, and they said the Holy Mother is being welcomed by these masses, and the Blue Army is growing with our Blessed Lady. And they had the films. The processional were coming along. Here comes these Hindus worshiping and bowing down to the Madonna on the platform, just like you see it in Latin America. And they say soon India will be converted to the Blessed Virgin. The Blue Army is growing. People, this thing is going on. This is wickedness. This is abomination. This is the great whore. It's the harlot of Revelation. It's the one who has always been at war with the saints. Always. Now notice, the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. The Roman Catholic Church, of all the churches that have ever existed, is the one that is noted in history. Remember, I've got a master's degree in history. I know what I'm talking about. I've read the books that they've taken off the shelves. I read the books before they revised them and changed them and deleted them and softened them somewhat. The Roman Catholic Church is the one church that always makes for the jugular vein of government. She makes no bones about it. She wants to control the government. And she wants to control everything by controlling the government. In Latin America, she had a stranglehold on Latin America for hundreds of years. And Latin America is one of the most poverty-stricken, illiterate places on the face of God's earth today. And it's because of the Roman Catholic Church. There were no schools for the poor and illiterate until the Protestant missionaries managed to break through the Roman Catholic blockade and get missionaries in there, and they established schools and orphanages, and suddenly the Roman Catholic Church decided they needed to help the poor folks. Up till then, only the rich folks got help, and they held the others in superstition and bondage, and they didn't care. They never have cared for the poor. They never have cared for anything except power. And illiterate people are much easier to manipulate than learned people. So you don't educate those dummies. You educate the smart people that have got the money, and you keep control of them, and then you have money, and they have money, and the poor can go right on groveling in the dirt like they always have. The Roman Catholic system has always produced illiteracy, poverty. The nations that have fallen most easily to communism have been those who were completely controlled by Catholicism, like Poland. They passed from the black totalitarianism to the red. And it's 6 to 1 and half a dozen of the other. There's no difference. Drunk with the wine of fornication. She has moved into the high councils. They have moved and moved and moved, trying to get us to recognize the Vatican. Presidents have tried their best to get an envoy. That traitor FDR sent a representative to the Vatican. What in thunder do we need a representative in the Vatican for? There's black witchcraft practiced in the Vatican. Demons have revealed this. It's also practiced in the secret places of Moscow. And there's another center of spiritualism in Brazil. These are three special cockpits of disaster that the enemy is working in. But the Roman Catholic system travels under the guise of being lovely. And if you want to investigate what's been going on down in Central America, you'll find out that those nuns and so forth that were killed, they were spies and revolutionaries. They were not little innocent nuns that went down there to help the children. Don't be taken in by that Catholic garbage. They're trying to fan it into propaganda. Everything is used to help the Catholic Church. The truth has nothing to do with it. They eliminate the people who become problems. In our church, we got sick and tired of all the lies in the newspapers, the radio, the TV, nothing but control news being fed out. Some of our boys, I think Tom stood up one Sunday, he said, I wish you'd join me. I'm going to start binding the lies and deceit in the press and the media, and loose spirit of truth and revelation to uncover the spiritual, religious and political rottenness of the country and expose it. I think it was, a month and a half later, the Cardinal Cody thing exploded right on the front pages of the Sun-Times. And believe you me, the Sun-Times is anything but anti-Catholic. They would have never done it, but they didn't have any choice. We can force things to change, people. By supernatural power, we can twist the whore and make her squeal. Poor old Cody got caught in it, and they eliminated him. Oh, you surely didn't think he died a natural death. No more than Rockefeller did when he was exposed as the head of all the drug financing in the world. He became an embarrassment, and they eliminated him in short order. You don't stay around these big boys, You ride high, but when you fall fast and quick, and you're blotted out. They're drunk with the wine of her fornication. And I carried me away in the spirit of the wilderness, and I saw a woman. Notice again the feminine character of this, because the Virgin Mary is still leading the parade, isn't she? Isn't it the Blessed Virgin? The novenas, the month of May, scapulars, all the garbage. Mary is still the great high priestess. I saw her sit on a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. My lands of living. What a monstrosity, huh? He tells us in verse 9, the 7 heads of 7 mountains on which she sits. Most of you are aware that Rome sits on 7 hills. So does Moscow, so does San Francisco, but none of them is a religious center. You couldn't call Moscow a religious center, nor San Francisco. I don't think it would be considered religious either. But at any rate, Rome qualifies. She's sitting on this the 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman sits. She's sitting ensconced. There are multiplied millions and billions in gold, silver, and precious stones in the vaults of the Vatican. Don't feel bad about her bank going busted. She could have busts like that every day for a year or two and never feel it. I don't feel sorry for her. Not at all. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet. Have you noticed that when the Pope is put in office, or when you have the funeral of the Pope, or when you have a bishop installed like in Chicago, you'd think the whole world had come to a stop and every network focuses their color cameras on it, as if that's the most interesting thing in the world. It's so sick and tired of seeing it everywhere you turn. The pomp and splendor of the Scarlet Harlot is on parade. What are the colors that predominate? Scarlet and purple. How strange. The woman was arrayed. She was decked out in scarlet and purple. And she was decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. Have you taken a closer look at the accoutrements around the Pope, the bishops, the cardinals? You notice the precious stones? You noticed his mitre, didn't you? Shaped like a fish head. Old Dagon himself, Leviathan. Yep, that's where it comes from. On the mitre is written 666. Vicar of Christ on earth. the voice of Jesus on earth. When he speaks, ex cathedra. Now, since you're probably not Latin students, you don't know. That means when he speaks from the throne. When he sits down on his throne and he speaks, it's absolutely binding on every Roman Catholic in the world. On pain of excommunication, severance from the church, which means going to hell. You can make people dance a merry tune if you've got them convinced you hold the key of whether they go to heaven or hell. Did you know that? I got news for you. There's some people who are not Catholics who have tripped to that. I know some preachers who threaten people with going to hell. You better support me. Your children will get sick. You'll die outside of God, and you'll go to hell. It's a lovely way to control a church, and that's going on. Of course, I think anybody would have to be insane to stay in that kind of thing. If you're not insane, you soon will be.